All right, guys, so we got our old fork here. We got the new tube, the spacer, spring, dampening rod, all that we're gonna reuse. We are gonna go ahead and change the bushing, the seals, and also the bushing. I ordered some new ones because you can see here the coating's kind of a little worn out. And I don't know if those would be good, but since I have it open anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and change everything. All right, guys, so we got our seal off the top bushing. Basically, just stick a screwdriver in there, separate a little, and then slip it on. And the other pieces here, I just went ahead and cleaned everything up a little bit. The one thing, though, is this bushing did not come in the kit I had. I think it's okay. Well, I don't know for sure, so I'm not sure if I'm going to wait for that yet or not. The other thing is, I had seen another video where they were saying that when you install these, I don't know if it needs to be done, but I guess one fellow on YouTube was saying he worked at a Harley dealership for a long time. They always said to put the spaces out. So meaning out away from, like, so in this scenario, like facing me over here. But that's something I'm going to double check. So I'm going to go ahead and now replace these. I don't know what these things would be called. But whatever these pieces are, I guess they're not bushings. I don't know, seals, I guess. And we're going to keep it moving. All right, guys, so there's a copper washer in there that we need to remove. I tried with the flathead, I couldn't get it, so I'm going to use one of these dental pick tools to try and see if I can muster that out of there. So this was like basically that crush washer in there that we just got out. This kit from this kit I got, I can't remember the company's name, but anyways, it has everything in there. And those bolts come with new washers already on them, so we'll go ahead and use those. Yeah, so we're getting there. All right, guys, so I think I'm going to just go ahead and replace these. So I have to order them. I'm going to leave this side the way it is until I get that bushing. I'm going to go ahead and break down the other fork. I'm not going to film that because it's the same way as this. And then when we put one actually together, then I'll go ahead and film that. All right, boys, so we got our bushings in, that what I was waiting for. And I'm going to go ahead and assemble one of the forks completely. I'll show you guys what I'm doing. And then I don't think I'm going to record the second fork because it's the same thing. And then I'll show you guys how I put everything back on the bike then. Okay, so just use the flathead to separate the bushing a little bit and then pop it over the end here and then just slip it on. And now same thing with here, we'll just expand it a little bit and then push the bushing on right from there. Now what I will do is once everything's on, I'm gonna lightly coat it a little bit with the shock therapy oil here. And then I'm gonna start working on that other fork. So this is the other fork, and this came out massively easy. Just not even, I think on the second one it pulled out, so that's pretty nice. Okay. So this one broke apart like butter. It was nice, easy, no issues on this side. So now I'm gonna jump back on the other one and finish putting that one together. The reason I broke this apart first is I just wanted to make sure I had the seal going the right way. So the larger opening in the seal faces down. All right, guys, so I have a little bit of oil in here. I'm just gonna go ahead and coat this a little bit. And then we're gonna stick this this tube, fork tube into the into this. And we're gonna drive it down probably with a PVC pipe, but I'm not sure yet, but I'll show the order of things. So first thing we're gonna do is make sure your spring's on your dampening rod, and we're gonna send that down the tube. And obviously, I don't know if I need to say this, but the threaded part on the top, that's obviously your top where your cap goes. So you want to send it this way into the area that looks like that. Okay, so we're through here now. So I just put the oil lock back on. These are gonna slide up because they're gonna sit in the top part of this, but the rest of this is gonna sit lower. So now at this point, now when you have everything in order like this, you can go ahead and slide the fork tube back in here. And you want to make sure everything's lined up because that that Allen head bolt is going to go through here and then lock into the oil lock down here. Another thing I wanted to mention, again, I said in the previous video, but one video I had watched, the guy had said that he was a Harley mechanic for about 30 years. He always said to put the separations in the bushings towards the outside of the shock. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know what difference it makes, but I'm just going to follow what he said. But once we get to this point, you do not want to turn it back this way because your dampening rod's going to fall out again. Then you're going to have to take it apart and line it up again. So right now I have everything out to the end. Now the oil lock's there, but it's not lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and get a, I think it's a 6mm Allen key, and I'm going to try and line this up and then push it there. And don't forget, again, you're putting a new copper washer on this, so take the old one out at the end of this. So I got my Allen bolt in there. It's snugged up now. I didn't crank it down yet because I'll probably use an impact on that. And now I just want to make sure again that we have all our stuff in order here. And now the process is going to be to beat this down. Basically, you want to beat it far enough down that you're able to see where we took this off of. There's like a basically like a what would you say, like a channel in there that this this is the old one, but this is where this lock spring lock type of thing is going to sit in there and then lock everything together. One thing I forgot to mention is when I put that Allen bolt in, I did use a little dab of blue Loctite as well. Some of the videos I watched, they did that, so I copied that. I'm not sure if it's in the manual, but it's up to you, but I put just a little dab in there. So we're back in the vise. I just tightened down that Allen bolt. Now I'm going to flip it around again, and we're going to start beating that oil seal down to seat everything. All right, guys, so I just used this piece of PVC to beat down the oil seal. And I think we're pretty good there. I can see the channel that the lock ring is going to go in. So that's the next step I'm going to do, is just lock everything down now. So I'm going to go ahead and take our snap ring here and drive it into that channel that I showed you guys before. The lock ring's in place now, and now I'm going to go ahead and take our dust seal and drive that in here now. And I might just take a little bit of a dead blow or something just and tap along the sides just to make sure it's seated properly. Next thing I'm going to put on is our dust cap. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, tap it around just to make sure that's seated now. Oh boys, I fucked the hell out of this trying to put this back on because I lost my brass punch. But I think this is aluminum anyway, so it's pretty soft, but I'm going to go ahead and order some new ones. Or I might get gaiters, I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to leave this the way it is. Right now, what we're going to do though is put some oil in it, the spring and all of that, and then we'll just leave it to the side until I can get some new dust caps, because I jacked that up pretty good. All right, guys, so I readjusted my fork so it's lower now and everything's sagging. You don't want to tighten that too much, obviously. You might bend or misshape your brand new extended fork tubes. So now I'm going to drop in my spring, And now I'm going to go ahead and fill it with the shock oil. All right, guys, so we have our oil inside the fork, and the manual calls for 9 ounces, but then I read somewhere that if you have a full rebuild, then you should just put 10 ounces. So I put 10 ounces in here. We'll see what happens. Next thing now, remember the spring's already in there. Now we're going to drop our spacer for the extended fork, and I was shocked to find out it's just a piece of PVC pipe, but that's what it is. So now we can see our forks extending down there, and then we're gonna put our cap in now. And the only thing left to do now is I have to replace that O-ring with the new one there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'm gonna pop this cap on. All right, guys, so we have our first one built now. The only thing is, like I said, the dust cover, I fucked it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and order a new one, or maybe put gaiters on it. Caps on. I did not tighten it down yet fully, because in the vise I don't want to have to pinch it too hard where I'm not where I have it secure enough to put torque on it, but I don't want to pinch the tube too much. So I'll wait till everything's back together, and then I'll tighten that down pretty good when it's back in the chalk here, hopefully, if it fits. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and redo and build the other one, and I'll catch up to you guys when I'm ready to assemble this thing again. All right, guys, so we got both sides done now. Unfortunately, like everything, I always get stuck on little stuff, so now I got to wait until I get some new dust caps here, or if I do gaiters, I'm not sure yet. So that's what we're going to wait for next before we put it into the trees. And and if you remember in the other video, I had problems with these pinch bolts. I got ARP ones that I think they're 12-point studded, so shouldn't be a problem again. So that's the next thing now we're going to wait for. So real quick, guys, I ordered new dust covers, but they're going to be gold just to match kind of the bike. And a cool thing I saw on YouTube is what somebody did is they used the old oil seal. So they put the dust cover on, put the old oil seal on there, and then they used the whatever tool you're using. I was using a PVC pipe, same one. We beat the new oil seal in, and then they beat the cover on, and this should not mar up the new dust cover. So I'm hoping this works. We'll see when we get the new one. I'm just going to put this here so I remember that it's up there, and then I can use it to put the new ones on. I decided not to go with the gaiters. I'm actually just going to use some gold aluminum ones. I hope they look good with the rest of the stuff. All right, so now we got to wait for those to come in, and then we'll jump back on it. All right, so we got our new dust caps. I went with gold because of the theme of the bike. And if you remember from the last clip, I had bent these before trying to get them pushed down with a dead blow hammer. So this time then I saw some video on YouTube where you can use the old oil seal and just basically drive it down using that. So that's what we're going to try to do. I might just put a little bit of fork oil just around the tube to eliminate some of the friction, so I can get better wax on it to seat this. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do now and see how that works. And again, I'm going to use my my PVC pipe that I had used to beat the seal, the rest of the insides on here, the bushings and the seals down to seat everything. So that's what we'll do again now, and this time just to get the dust cover on. Okay, so I just went ahead and seated the dust cap utilizing the old seal. I put this over and I beat it down with the PVC pipe, and almost like a slide hammer, same way we seated everything else. And it did not bend or score the dust cap at all. So this is a really good technique if anybody has that problem where they bend the original, because in the previous clip I showed you, I mangled these pretty good. So now we're gonna go ahead and do the other one, get these ready to install back on the bike, see how everything looks. So one dust cap went on no problem. The other one's giving me a difficult time here. So what I'm thinking about doing is getting a longer PVC pipe that's about yay long that I can put against the floor, flipping this upside down and then hitting it like that against the PVC pipe. See if it gives me a little bit more force. If not, I might take a Dremel or something and just thin the edge of the dust cap out a little bit. I don't really know why. I checked if there's any like burrs or anything stopping it, but it's not. It's just not seating on here. So we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. So this one was a bit of a bear. I did have to use the Dremel and thin the wall a little bit. Then I had to go ahead and, since it's metal, I just put a little bit of like a rust preventative in there, because I'm taking away the gold plating on it. So I just wanted to try and do my best to prevent it from rusting. Those are seated now. Unfortunately, I have to raise the bike up some more in order to get the forks in, because the forks now are pretty long. So we're gonna go ahead and raise it up a little bit more, and then we'll begin the install. So we got the bike up a little bit more. It's actually tilted a little bit back, just to so I don't have to go too high up, and I can still, with the angle of the bike, still put the forks in. So I think this should be good enough to put the forks in and get the tire in. Unfortunately, I won't be able to use the front piece of the chalk, but I'll make sure I keep the tie downs on. All right, guys, so what I did is I stuck the axle in just to index the two forks in the correct orientation, so I know when I put the tire on I won't have a problem. And then I pushed the forks up, and I'm going to double check the measurement to make sure they're even on the tops. And if they are, then I'm going to cinch down the pinch bolts. But right now I'm just cinching them down with the ones that were previously on the bike, but I got some ARP ones, because if you remember, I had to cut one of these. So for now, I'm just going to leave it the way it is, double check the measurement, and then start working on putting the tire on. Unfortunately, it still has to go a little bit more up, so we'll do that as well. Just one other thing to remember, when we take the measurement up here, we're not measuring the cap, the fork caps distance to the triple trees. What we're doing is we are measuring the tube's edge coming up through the opening for this, because we haven't cinched down these caps yet, so they might be off, because we're going to lock everything down, then torque those to spec. Hope that made sense. So you can see here what I was talking about, that edge right there, not the fork cap, but the edge of the tube. And now we're even. There was a little bit of play, so I moved this up a little bit and then cinched down the bolts again. So before I put the wheel on, I checked the bearings. They seem pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and grease the axle, clean it with some brake clean or carb clean, and then grease them, and then put everything back. And since I have the bike off, the tire off the bike, I think this is a good time to go ahead and clean it up. I wanted to polish all the aluminum on the bike, but I think I'll do this now. And also I have to check out the brake rotor and see what state that's in. So I know this was a fork, extended fork install, but since you have everything open, it's a good idea to do all that stuff too. Just makes it easier. All right, guys, so I think we're pretty close here. I should be able to get the axle through. With all the crap I have here, I think I ran out of brake cleaner, so I'm gonna do all this later. I just want to get everything together. So I will go ahead and grease the axle put this all back together. And just one thing I wanted to mention, anytime I'm going up, I keep a little bit of tension on the straps just to make sure nothing wobbles or the bike doesn't wobble off the jacks. So just, if you're doing this, make sure you always, I know it's a lot harder because you're going slower, then checking, then tightening, then unloosening, then going up a little bit, but it's safer because if this thing falls or, your project falls, that's a big headache and could be a big danger. So just take your time, do it slowly. So next we're going to start putting the tire back on and we'll show you afterwards. So make sure when you guys put the tire back in, the speedometer, it almost acts like a speedometer cable acts like a spacer as well, but there's a little tab here that you have to make sure seats in the correct indent here. All right, guys, so we have our washer in there, lock washer, and our nut. And then now, once I got this tightened, I'm going to go ahead and torque it down to spec. And then we will put in our, I guess, designer nut cover. All right, so I just went to Home Depot, picked up some new torque wrenches. Unfortunately, the one I had, one was rusted. I know I have a new one somewhere, but I couldn't find it in all this mess, so I had to get some newer ones. So I think we're going to do 50 foot-pounds on this axle nut and 25 on the caliper. Double check your own torque specs. I'm pretty sure that's what I read for FXR, but can't find my manual either right now, so I'm just going to go with that. So right now I've disconnected the banjo fitting because this brake line now is going to be too short, but I just want to get the caliper on there and make sure everything spins freely. I will be using Loctite on these and the pinch bolts. I just don't think I'm going to put Loctite on the axle nut. I still haven't decided, but there's a lock washer there, so I don't think it's necessary, but I'm still mulling that one over. So guys, I decided against putting any Loctite on those yet. I want to get everything plumbed and make sure it's working correctly before I lock everything down. So right now I'm just basically I just bolted it on and I'm just going to leave it for now. I am still going to torque down the axle nut and then I'll start working on everything else. I don't want to lock it down and have to fight it, or Loctite it and then have to fight it to come out, because I'm also not sure how this bike stops. The pads look good, but it hasn't been on the road for quite some time, so I'm just going to leave it for now. I probably will end up changing the pads anyways, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. So we're torqued down there. Now I'm just going to put on our cosmetic cover here. And I'm going to lock it down with the Allen wrench, because there's like an Allen headed kind of threaded insert there that I guess holds everything tight to the nut, to the axle nut. Okay, so our cosmetic cover is on there. I'm going to go ahead and insert this pinch bolt back. So this squeezes the lower fork housing against the axle. So what I did first is I made sure I had correct torque for the forks on the axle, so they're in the correct place. Now we're going to lock that side down onto that axle. Hope that made sense. So for this bottom pinch bolt here, I will be putting a little bit of Loctite because I don't foresee myself having to separate that out again. All right, guys, so we're all cinched down here. Next thing, I'm going to put my fork brace back on. I might actually take this in and try to clean it up. I got some aluminum polish kit, so I might try it on here before I do everything else, just to see how good it does. I will be loctating these a little bit as well. I'm going to throw this on. After looking at this, I'm not sure if those 6-inch risers are a little too much, so I might go ahead and get 4-inch risers instead. But I have to get everything kind of settled down, sit on the bike, see where the handlebars sit, and I also want to put in my light just to see how it looks and what angle I need it to sit at. So that's the next thing. So once this fork brace is on, then actually, never mind. I'm going to, I think next I'm going to actually do the pinch bolts. Get those all on, and then I'll torque down the fork caps, and then I'll worry about this thing. I can't imagine anything's going to, shift a little bit there, but just in case, just so that's all set, and then the fork brace, I'll put it on. Okay, so I just torqued down the ARP pinch bolts for the lower piece here, and now I'm gonna loosen this one. I'm not sure if they're the same size. If they are, I do have extra ARP bolts, and I will swap these chrome ones out for those. If not, then I'll just go ahead and torque these down. I believe the torque spec on these are around 34 foot-pounds, but obviously double check it. And the reason I had torqued this one down first, if you remember when we were setting up our forks, we had pinched these down just enough to hold the, basically hold the front end together. So now, since we know everything's where we want it, tighten this now. Now I can loosen this, apply a little Loctite to it, and then put it down and then torque it to spec. And I'll do the same thing for the other side. So the ARP bolts were a little longer, so I'm going to have to reuse the original ones for the top clamp. So we're going to go ahead and apply a little Loctite to the silver one, and then go ahead and run it through. So we're torqued to spec here, I believe, at 34 foot-pounds. I think they're the same torque spec. Again, look it up in your manual. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same procedure on the other side, and then we will torque the fork caps down. So we're all torqued down on both sides, Loctited. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the fork brace. So this is the stuff I'm going to try using. We'll see how good it does on our fork brace here. But from the reviews, they said it's pretty good, so we'll see. I think this stuff's pretty good. I only did it for like maybe 30 seconds. I'm sure if you put some time and elbow grease into it, you can get even better. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap this back on, and then I'll probably do the just clean up the forks a little bit with the same stuff and see how everything turns out, and maybe the rims too. All right, so fork brace is on. Now I can take off my stupid sticker here. Like I said, I wasn't sure if this one was directional, but the one on the wide glide is. That's why I just wanted to make sure the way I took it off is the way it goes back on. So that's why I have this piece of tape here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I do like that Chemical Guys cleaner I just used on the polish. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest, the forks and everything. And I think I might mount the light up there too, just to see how it looks with everything together. I do have a cool tool bag for here that I'll put on, and I think that's it for now. But let's go ahead and clean everything up and then do the light as well.